Here we are at day 4 of the hormone challenge, but really this is day 1. This is where you put everything together. We recap day 1, 2, and 3, and now you apply it. You have one body, you have one life that's open to interpretation. Maybe we do have more lives, but right now is where you start truly nourishing your body. And we've introduced you to a strategy that I have used for about, well, now I've honed it over time, but in the past 5 years, I would say it's really come together. And so it is your MMMs: mindset, movement, and micronutrients. And so how do we apply this to everything we've learned from day 1 being getting into the flow and understanding the flow of your metabolism of your hormones, to day 2, where we created balance. We focused in on your calming hormones. And then day 3, we energized with an awareness of our energy hormones and the importance of our mitochondria. We've talked about hormones at any age, any stage, any health condition. It's about getting back to the basics. And so today we're going to be talking about rhythm and how you're going to understand the rhythm between all of those other 3 days that we've talked about. We're going to review some cases, and we're really just going to get into the heart of everything further. So to practice our MMMs, both Dr. Kira and I are going to share a personal story on how we integrate it. And so Dr. Kira is going to start us off.
Yeah, so I think what I've found the most kind of transformative of the MMM kind of philosophy is the mindset portion. So I would say for me, like with the movement and micronutrients, like I feel like I have that pretty dialed in. Of course, like there's always days that I could improve in that area. But for me, the mindset really was the game changer. And how I noticed it helping me is really, as I'm such a like cycle tracker and tracking through the menstrual cycle, as we've really gone over in the last few days about how beneficial that can be in understanding your body. But in terms of understanding my mindset, I was really seeing a pattern. So I was seeing that in those luteal days, so like those few days before my menstrual cycle, I was feeling very kind of chaotic on the inside those days, maybe a bit unsettled. And by kind of tapping into those feelings, I was noticing that I was this pattern. And I was like, okay, what do I actually want to feel these days? And it's calm and grounded. So I kind of often find that in those times of my cycle, I'm really harnessing that mindset daily. Like I am calm and I am grounded. Mm-hmm. And then in that follicular kind of estrogen dominant phase, that's where I would get a bit like mentally scattered kind of, because it's like you have the energy to now boo, 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 do all the things. And I would say, okay, I'm energized and focused. And that's what I really wanted to harness. So I found that to be so transformational in terms of like, okay, this is where I'm at now. And it's a guiding light, because I know the opposite of that is where I want to go, and I can harness that energy now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's how I've really found it to be helpful. And I know, Dr. Tara, like you have a story that I love about how you figured all this out. And
yeah, and actually listening to your story, the progesterone side of the cycle, it reminded me of the times where I noticed, oh, I'm craving chocolate, or I have more carbohydrates or whatnot. And then maybe before I would feel guilty a little bit of, oh, why did I eat that? But then when you can tune into your cycle and then realize, oh, my body needs those carbohydrates right now. I burn a lot in a day, and wow, that is why I need it. And once I paired that progesterone craving side, I learned to honor my rhythm a little bit further, to have a pasta dinner, to have toast for breakfast, where there's so much information being shared about all kinds of things. And it's really hard to know what is best for you. Right. And that's really the beauty of naturopathic medicine. I'll share my story, and then I want to tell about personalized medicine and how we approach. But so a quick little thing, MMM story is, I was practicing this daily, practice what you preach, right? And so every day on a scrap piece of paper, or even in my head, mindset, movement, micronutrients. And I was noticing that I wasn't getting my exercise in, or movement, or what I wanted to do for clarity. And so that led me to noticing my mindset of frustrated. I was really frustrated. I would be getting up with my daughter in the night as needed. And then in the morning, it would be mommy. So again, just helping her get ready. Then my mom, who lives with us, she would come up, and then they would go off to the beach. So off for fun. And I would be now, okay, I've just done all that. Now I'm going to work, where I spend a lot of energy, expend that, and really love it. And just, I'm frustrated because I'm not getting my self-time, self-care. before. And so it allowed me to have more awareness on that, to communicate it out in the right time, not in the moment of frustration, right? To really have that step back insight. I really need headspace in the morning before I go to work. And so just 10 minutes or whatnot. So I communicated that to my partner. He said, you can exercise whenever you want. And I said in that moment, yeah, right. Okay, well, okay, I'm saying I need exercise in the morning. And so sure enough, the next morning, he made sure the time and space happened for it. But had I not gone through that whole exercise, I don't think I would have moved through it as well.
It's like the reflection on your day, and then you can see like where it is that you need help and where you can ask for help and what's kind of not going like exactly.
And the most successful people are evaluating their day. They're setting their goals and evaluating. So journaling to me has always been tough. Like I just start to write and I go, ooh, but if you put a creative spin to it, that makes it easier for me. And so everybody has their own way, but some tool of setting an intention, evaluating it and noticing what you did or what you didn't, and then getting curious a little bit further.
Yeah, and it's the reflection piece, as you're saying, like even if I love journaling, but if you're not a journaler, it's giving, and just quickly back to that point that you made about how there's so many experts out there saying exactly what you need to do. And this comes back to naturopathic medicine too, but it's like you are the expert of your own body. So by tuning more into these ebbs and flows, then you become more of that expert.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we just wanted to, so you guys know that we've had a couple of technical difficulties. We're just learning Zoom as we go. So we thought that all of the questions you guys had asked in the Q&A the last few days had been saved, but we didn't have just that setting on. So if there was any questions that weren't asked, we would love it if you guys just popped them in now, and we will make sure to answer all of your questions.
We've enabled that feature now. So ask away all your questions, fire them out from any of the days, and then we'll be able to extract all those questions and share with everyone, including people who are not on Facebook. One thing I realized is people who are sending in their homework to the Hormone Challenge email, they're not seeing other people's homework and they're not seeing other people's questions. And so we're going to recap all of that for you at the end of the challenge in follow-up emails. And so to test your hormone knowledge, let's go to a bit of a poll. And so I'm
you guys expecting a test.
Yes.
You studied last night.
We want you to just keep practicing this knowledge and just keep building on your understanding of hormones. And, we've been doing it for a long time and even went to school for it, but this is maybe new to you, understanding the ins and outs of it. And so here we go. You go through in order. So start answering, and then we'll give you about a minute or two, and then we'll see how everyone did percentage wise. So, and while you're inputting your answers, Dr. Kira and I will read out. So number 1, we covered all of the following are our calming, balancing hormones, except those good old multiple choice questions from school of the all but.
Yeah. Okay, I'll read question 2. So all of the following are considered our energy hormones except.
So testosterone, progesterone, thyroid stimulating hormone, and morning cortisol. We'll also go through the answers for you too.
Yeah.
So are people seeing this and voting? I can't tell if people are voting in. So you just have to click off what question or what your answer is.
You not see the totals, or I guess maybe when
and now I'm seeing, okay, people are starting to input. Okay, so everything is there's a bit of delay, cyber delay. Okay, number 3, for optimal thyroid metabolism, we aim for TSH to be in what range? 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, or 4 plus.
And then your mitochondria love which nutrient fuel most? So omega-3s, calcium, antioxidants, or flax seeds.
And 5, hormone phases. Which days of your cycle are considered your estrogen/follicular phase? Remember, there's an estrogen follicular phase and a progesterone luteal phase. So which one is the estrogen? And last question.
So it's your hormone flow. Your calming hormone pathway is, and then we have 4 choices there for you to choose.
don't have to read through all those. Okay.
I won't.
Okay, so this questionnaire will attach it for everyone to go through and test your knowledge. So let's go through the answers right now. So all of the following are our calming, balancing hormones except, and so estrogen, DHEA, progesterone, melatonin, evening cortisol. So I would go through evening cortisol. Yes, that's calming. Melatonin's calming. Progesterone's calming. DHEA, we talked about it, balancing. It does go down our energy pathway, but it is, we did speak about it as one of our calming hormones. And so the correct answer is estrogen.
And then our second question, so that was all of the following are considered our energy hormones except, and then we have testosterone, progesterone, thyroid, and morning cortisol. So in our energy pathway yesterday, we chatted testosterone, thyroid, and morning cortisol. So the correct answer would be progesterone, which we spoke of as our calming hormone.
And Kira, when I move my mouse like this, do you see it circling progesterone or no?
No, so I think my is different, yeah.
Okay, learning when the mouse works and when it doesn't. Okay, so number 3, for optimal thyroid metabolism, we aim for TSH, so thyroid stimulating hormone, to be in what range? And so 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, or 4 plus. And so the correct answer is 1 to 2, but it's a bit of a trick question. 0 to 1, many people do feel better below 1. You just don't want to get too close to 0. And so 1 to 2 is that optimal sweet spot range. And so homework today too is look at your most recent blood work. And if you haven't had your thyroid stimulating hormone tested, we'll talk about assessment in a little bit. I highly recommend just making sure you have that within the last 2 years. And we always want people to have baselines. So 1 to 2 is optimal. The higher you get, the more sluggish you get, the more hypothyroid you're moving. And so that's when you'll really start to feel more fatigue and other symptoms. Okay.
Okay, and number 4, your mitochondria love which nutrient fuel most? Omega-3, calcium, antioxidants, and flax seeds. And so what we really spoke about yesterday were antioxidants. So that would be the correct answer, although your mitochondria love lots of fuel, but we're saying that the antioxidants the most for mitochondria to protect them against that oxidative stress.
Hormone phases, which of your cycle are considered your estrogen follicular phase? And so correct. It is the first 2 weeks of your cycle, day 1 to 14, think estrogen. Second half of your cycle, think premenstrual progesterone luteal phase.
Yeah. And then the last question is hormone flow. Your calming hormone pathway is. So the correct
answer really tricky.
Yeah, this one's tricky. But it was the cholesterol, pregnenolone, progesterone, cortisol.
Actually, yeah, it wasn't tricky, but it was just a lot of reading there to get to it. So it can seem overwhelming, but again, practice on simplifying, right? Get it down to, you know now that progesterone makes cortisol, right? And you know that all of your hormones start with cholesterol. We metabolize our hormones from cholesterol. That's why you need the healthy fats and you need to have a healthy cholesterol level. Okay, so I hope that was fun for everyone. And, oh, we should share the results maybe? So doesn't matter.
Great.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, fine.
Stop
Okay.
Share results. Okay.
Okay. So now we will be getting into day 4, the content for day 4, which is all about rhythm and assessment. So are you just pulling up the
sorry.
delay?
I clicked download the poll. So I'm going to, just because I've.
Oh, yay, I see some of you say you passed the test. Yay. Okay. So we're jumping into rhythm and assessment. So today we are going to be chatting about how to create rhythms for your health, how to assess your rhythms and overall hormone and energy balance. And then we're going to be creating a blueprint for hormone harmony. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I can hear you, but
Sarah,
you can't
hear you. Okay. I've got to enter back in. I'm not sure. So quickness.
People say they can hear both of us now. People say they can hear both of us. No.
Check my audio.
They say they can hear both of us now, and I can hear you. Oh, but now you're muted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My face is red.
Deep breath, deep breath.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, so we're going to build your blueprint for hormone harmony. So we're going to kind of show you, we're going to go through some cases and show you how we would approach your health. And if you have any, blood work or testing that you want to submit to us for us to go through tomorrow, then just send that to us. So again, the email is just hormonechallenge@higherhealthcenter.com.
So we have rhythms everywhere in our daily life to our hormone balance. So start to pay attention to those rhythms and acknowledge them. And then we want to talk about rhythm versus balance. So a couple of days ago it was balance. Now, what is the difference between rhythm and balance? We want to understand your circadian rhythms further. And we want to recap the understanding your hormone flow. So we'll weave this into all of the cases that we talk about. And understanding your hormone phases, men and women, right? So we had men are more a day and women are more in a monthly cycle. And then for women in menopause, just tuning into, you still will have the adrenal aspect of hormone balance. So see if you can start to notice a rhythm for yourself. And if you can't, then take it to a day and take it to the life rhythms. So Kira, tell us some of the life rhythms we have.
Yeah, so in terms of life rhythm, so we have these daily rhythms, the monthly rhythms, and the seasonal rhythms. And then just before we even go into rhythms, just going back to that piece of like the rhythm and the balance, really with the balance, we were in the first few days, we were kind of talking about how the hormones we want them to be in that like Goldilocks kind of position. So we're trying to balance those out. But then within that, they're going to be ebbing and flowing in these rhythms. So when we think to the daily rhythm, we're really thinking to that circadian rhythm. Which we've really touched on a lot in the last few days. So that's that 24-hour a rhythm that we have in our bodies that is regulated by the light and the dark of our environment. So the main hormones, again, were melatonin in the evening and cortisol in the morning. And what's really cool about this circadian rhythm is that it's designed so that during those daylight hours, your digestion is functioning optimally, your metabolism is functioning optimally, same with your immune function. And then at nighttime, your body is really focusing on that cellular repair, which we've talked about so much too with the mitochondrial health and how important cellular health is, and detoxification. So that's why those kind of daily rhythms are so important, and that's set through that circadian rhythm. And then the monthly rhythms were those, kind of women who are still cycling and going through their periods, they are getting those monthly rhythms as well. And then we're all going through the seasonal rhythms too, right? Like we know in the winter, we feel differently than we do in the summer. And so let's focus here on the daily rhythm. So we're all of us are going to find that daily rhythm. And for some of us, that daily rhythm will be very, very, kind of that strong rhythm. So, everything that we do basically in the day, there's some rhythm to it. So to start with, touching on sleep, how important it is to set, consistent waking time and sleeping time to really set that light and dark of the environment. So you're going to sleep. Ideally, you go to bed kind of around 10 to 11 p.m., I would say, because that's really going to support the optimal melatonin production overnight. And then you're waking consistently at the same time in the morning as well.
Remembering blue light exposure to screens off at 8. And even I've noticed when I don't have my phone in my room, I know I always have it on airplane, but when I don't have it in my room, I notice a much better sleep quality. So pay attention to that. And if nothing else, just make sure if your phone is in your room, it's on airplane, but even better, get any Wi-Fi out of your room. It does disrupt your circadian rhythm. And I would love to know if what we're saying about light to everyone, the circadian cycle and the sleep wake, and understanding that melatonin, actually you want to start the production in the morning so that more is released at night. I want to know if light therapy is new to you. I'm just curious on a side note. And so if you've really learned about that as something new through this challenge. And so rhythm through nutrition, think about meal times, consistency, instead of haphazard daily, create some rhythm with, you have a set time like a child does. They're, it's like clockwork when they get hungry and when they know it's bedtime and whatnot. They have this strong internal clock. So go back to your roots, like really trust your body for your rhythms. And exercise too, there's different phases of exercise, different exercise for different times in your cycle, actually. And then also in a season or whatnot. So you want to change it up. And I know some people prefer exercising in the morning. You really get that testosterone spike in the morning. And some people need a little boost later in the day. So they really like exercising later in the day. And I actually find men overall, if I had to say an average, I find men like doing weights later in the day. So they're waking up with strong testosterone in the morning, stronger, and then they want a little boost of it in, like, as their testosterone is coming down. So that's really interesting too for understanding rhythm.
And I also want to touch on too with the nutrition piece, because I think someone asked a question about intermittent fasting there. And, there's a lot of data now on how important it is to, you can have that fasting window. And again, that's going to be different for everyone in terms of how that applies best for you based on your hormone status and all of that, but actually still focusing on your eating during the day, because that's really when our bodies and our metabolism are actually most insulin sensitive first thing in the morning compared to later in the day. So our bodies are meant to be fueled through the daylight hours.
Especially women, I find, have to pay attention to that intermittent fasting and have a rhythm within that. So maybe not intermittent fasting every day of the week, maybe and certainly within your cycle. So it's great to intermittent fast, and there are many benefits, but also bring in the balance of yin nourishment, and you do need that breakfast. So, but yeah. Okay, so how do we assess your rhythm? Number one, hands down, is the discussion you have with us. So it's different than seeing your medical doctor. When you see a naturopathic doctor, we're really getting to know you, mind, body, emotional health, physical health, environmental. We're digging into digestion, stress, sleep, family history, medical history. And so we have a lot more. We look at the whole picture. We recognize that everything functions as a whole, and we're not looking at certain things in isolation. And so I think the big difference with naturopathic medicine is we are like your advocate. We are your case taker. We are piecing all, like putting everything together, leave no stone unturned, and really getting curious about your wellness, while also setting up what is your best, where are we headed? And so conventional medicine would really address symptoms and concerns, and it's important, right? And you need that. But there's no time to really get into, wait, what is your best? How do you want to feel? It's more about just making sure you're not sick, right? And for lack of a better word, but naturopathic medicine is, and what we focus on is higher health and what is your best.
And then another kind of assessment tool that we sometimes will use in practice are questionnaires. And questionnaires really give us, it's a good kind of baseline assessment. So with the intake that Dr. Tara is talking about, us going in depth there, but by doing kind of questionnaires, it can give us a really good baseline understanding of what's going on with a bunch of your different hormones, neurotransmitters, even thyroid. And we do have one that we often use in practice, which I believe we are able to send out to everybody.
You'll be receiving that.
So you guys will be receiving that, so then you can get a feel for what a questionnaire is like.
Yeah, it covers your hormones, it covers thyroid, it covers a bit of mitochondrial health, and so it'll be interesting for everyone to fill out and send back to us. And then we definitely look at blood work. We really look at what was tested, what may be beneficial to add. We teach you about your blood work. And so there really is an education tool with what we do as well. And so awareness is really important, and understanding is a strength from naturopathic medicine, so that you can then make better choices and you can understand your body further.
And temperature tracking. So this is something that can just be a tool that you can use at home to really find your hormonal rhythm. So most people know of temperature tracking. This is taking your basal body temperature. So it's your temperature first thing right upon waking. And most people are familiar with this more in the fertility world, because you're trying to assess ovulation and confirm ovulation in the month. But it's just a tool that, if you're able to be consistent with it and take your temperature every day, which not everyone wants to do, but it can just give you a good idea of what's happening, because in that follicular estrogen phase, your temperature is actually lower, and then post-ovulation, because progesterone increases your basal metabolic rate, your temperature will increase. So it's just another tool that you can use to assess that monthly rhythm.
I find with all these new protocols, I'm testing my temperature every day, and actually it does rise. We just have it at our office, right? And so when I'm in the progesterone side or right before my period, or ovulation too, my temperature is up a bit. Yeah. Minuscule, but it's really interesting. And so then advanced urinary hormone testing, we are going to show you more about the Dutch and the Chi tests. It just gives us so much information. And when it comes to your body, think of your car or any household expenses and whatnot. They're like a one-time and, oh, that's a bit annoying, I have to pay that. And so, but this is your body, and it does tell us so much. And so it's like that one-time expense that really is worthwhile. And gets into methylation, which is a way of your body detoxing. And we want to know, are you a good methylator, or do you need some support to methylate so that you can detox better and improve your hormone balance? And it tells us about antioxidant status, as well as some key neurotransmitter markers that we've touched on. So melatonin as well as dopamine. Remember, dopamine has the buddy system with testosterone, so it's really good to have that link. And then adrenal markers as well. Adrenaline.
And then we just threw a couple of other tests on there, the organic acids test and GI microbiome testing. So these are just other kind of functional medicine tests that we have available to us that can just provide more information. So sometimes when there's a lot of GI concerns, maybe a food sensitivity test is right, maybe it's not. But this is just kind of showing you just different testing tools, assessment tools.
Great. Okay. So just getting a little bit more specific into the blood work, and then we're going to go into the cases. In terms of nutrients, we want to see your red blood cell count, red blood cell and white blood cell. So that's in your CBC. We often see a lot of changes in white blood cells being low and neutrophils being low, and actually antioxidants help to repair that. So something really important to go through, especially during this heightened immune concern time. B12, folate, ferritin, absolutely vitamin D. I just think everyone should get that. And if you have to pay for it, do it. I think it's about $30 through your medical doctor. And also we test it, but any blood work through us is just not covered under OHIP. And so there's ways you can get what you need, and we walk you through your options and make sure you have the best resources. And then red blood cell magnesium is a good one. It's not often tested, but it does give us some information. Vitamin C is also testable on blood, and we would tell you more about that, as well as some other B vitamins. But most commonly, the above two points are important.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely for that vitamin D. Yeah. And then thyroid too. So thyroid, we talked about that yesterday, how there's thyroid stimulating hormone, which is coming from the pituitary, the free T3, free T4. So those are the free T3 is that active thyroid hormone, and then thyroid antibodies. It can be helpful to assess whether there's any antibodies. This really just gives us the full kind of thyroid picture to assess what could be going on.
And we just posted a picture in the chat line or on the Facebook page, but it will also be included in your notes. It's called Thyroid Metabolism Explained. It was a picture that was in your notes yesterday, and we want to make sure you understand that. So ask your questions in on that slide to really understand what we're talking here about thyroid metabolism. Then cholesterol is also very important. Cholesterol is the foundation of all your hormones, right? We make hormones from cholesterol. And so let's test your lipids to see what your balance of HDL, LDL levels are, as well as your triglycerides. So we can share what naturopathic optimal is from those markers. And blood sugars are really important as a measure, a pre-measure of inflammation, and it gives us side information about hormones. So looking at your insulin, hemoglobin A1C, fasting blood sugar.
And then inflammatory markers, so CRP, HS, so that's the high sensitivity CRP, as well as ESR, which ESR is more of a general inflammatory marker. But those can be really, really helpful just to, especially as a baseline, having those and then kind of monitoring over time to see what the inflammatory status is. And then finally, hormones. So DHEAS, so that was the DHEA and testosterone that we spoke about, estradiol, progesterone, FSH, and LH. So just as a reminder that FSH and LH are the pituitary hormones. We typically test those and estradiol on day 3 of your cycle, and then progesterone, because it's only made in that luteal phase, we're going to measure for that in the second half of the cycle, usually around day 21.
Great. Okay, so that is, now we're going to get into some cases, and so I'm going to review a few with you. Okay. And so here's where we do your blueprint for hormone harmony. And so I'm going to walk you through some actual examples of client cases. Some are on this call, and I guess, what can I say here? Just let me walk through what our typical blueprint looks like. So our blueprint for hormone harmony. And I'm just going to read through the case, and then I'm going to show you the person's Dutch and comment on other parts of their case. So we want you to understand that people have a unique combination of concerns. They're coming in with, well, so the person who I'm going to go through her case her main goals were healthy weight loss and metabolism, fibroid history, so uterine fibroids, and looking for overall wellness and to feel good, and looking to improve her digestive health, having some recent loose stools. And I think many people, actually, this was a theme that was coming up in visits. Alcohol consumption certainly rose. And it was really neat to have people come in and really express, look, I know I'm consuming too much alcohol. I don't want to be, and it's not my usual, but that can certainly be a hormone disruptor. And so, looking at the choices that you make and how you nourish your body, it really matters for your baseline health. And so if you know that you're wanting to improve some areas and you are not quite feeling your best, seek help, get the right team. When you connect in and have the therapeutic presence of someone who really cares, it makes all the difference, because there's tons of information out there. You can access it, no problem. That's a really great thing today. You ask your medical doctor, can I test my thyroid? Or oh no, it's fine, or we'll do it in another 2 years. You can access why it's important to test your thyroid for your unique symptoms, and you can advocate for yourself. There's so much information out there. It's not just what your doctor says, right? And so really get the magic comes from therapeutic space, from someone listening to you and helping you and putting pieces together, and you having accountability, and you having just external insights that you might not have seen for yourself. So I know that this person who I'm going to read can attest to that. And so in terms of our mindset, now we go into what is your best health? What is higher health? What is hormone harmony? And it's the M's. Right away, we start with that. So this person, I asked her what her vision of her best self was. And she said, we distilled it down to, she wants to feel energized, refreshed, light, rejuvenated. She wants clear skin. She wants health. She wants to dance, that feeling of dancing, feeling alive and free. She wants to be a role model for her kids. She wants to be inspired and motivated, and she wants to love life. And so that is her mindset of higher health. Then I get people to every day, just pick out 3. Just what are your guiding 3? I shared with you before I reached what point, I was in a really difficult point, and I just said, Tara, do this for yourself. What is your grounding? What is your root? Your best self. And loving, kind, and calm came out. And as soon as I heard those words, I just naturally kind of latched on to that strength, right? And so then we also cover the opposite. What is your opposite? And so this woman said she was feeling tired, mopey, going about her day, just really disconnected and feeling low and anxious. So don't negate those feelings. This isn't to be Pollyanna and fluffy and flip to the positive. It's just to say, okay, you're feeling that way, and we want to move you out of it. We want to unstuck you, right? We want to get you back to something you can grab onto and build. And then in terms of assessments, we reviewed her most recent blood work, and other markers that I wanted to get that were really important to get an update for were thyroid, vitamin D, her ferritin, cholesterol, liver enzymes, inflammatory markers, the CBC that I spoke about, and also LH-FSH. She's in perimenopause. So just seeing how high are those numbers now? Is she moving closer to menopause? We had her fill out that hormone neurotransmitter questionnaire that we'll be sending you. We went into personalized nutrition, and so that will be another focus for tomorrow of helping support your best hormone nutrition and digging into that a little bit further. Then we reviewed her supportive supplementations. So in terms of micronutrients, we have food first, then we move into your supplementation. And so I don't think the magic happens with supplements. I don't want anybody to be on a barrel of things. And usually that's where people breathe a sigh of relief, that you're not going to be on all these things. I actually find it not disempowering, but it's not as powerful as working on your mindset, taking a capsule, right? It's important, but it's not where the magic happens. The magic happens with our relationship. And so there will be things that we recommend, and absolutely when it comes to hormone balance and energy, whether it's B vitamins or certain botanicals to build progesterone or to build testosterone or to help clear out certain estrogens or to help you sleep better, or key antioxidants that match most for you, we will minimize that and maximize the response. So we want to do what's most targeted for you. And normally a supplementation plan might last a couple of months, 3 months, and then we reevaluate. You need to give your body enough time to adapt to the nutrients and to really take them in and show an improvement. One example is water or hydration. If you just start drinking more water out of the blue, at first you are going to have to pee a lot, right? Maybe for a couple of days, and maybe you give up and say, I'm constantly running to the washroom. But the more you keep with that consistency, right? Create your rhythm, the more you are actually going to absorb in that water and see the benefit from it and feel the benefit. And so slow and steady, just teach your body to trust you. Then we get into, at our office, Micronutrient IV Therapy. Some people have asked questions about this. Absolutely, we want to tell you more about it. It's very simple nutrients. It's vitamin C, magnesium, your B vitamins, trace minerals, amino acids, key antioxidants like N-acetylcysteine, glutathione, and bicarbonate, which is a natural anti-inflammatory. And then, of course, it's in a hydrating base. So, I know for myself, I want to drink water, and I do really try. But as a refresh, getting an IV treatment just kind of replenishes, bathes the cells in micronutrients and hydration. And so that has really become my favorite treatment, also because you're coming in, sitting, receiving. It helps you with mindset and just nourishment, and while also talking to us. And so it really just has become a tool to really put things together from that whole picture perspective. So I like multitasking. You receive an IV treatment while we're talking about nutrition and supportive supplementation and reviewing your test results. Okay, so let's go through. So that actually walked you through a bit of a blueprint. I will now show you so you know this person's main concerns. And now let's look at her actual Dutch report. So back to that share screen feature. My heart jumps a little bit when I do that, but we're getting stronger. Okay. So this person, remember the dials, and I'm going to review examples from Dutch and Chi. So Dutch is the American, and a lot of people know about Dutch, but Canadian has a really amazing version too. And there's a few differences, and we absolutely pick out which one is best for you. And actually, one thing I'm going to share tomorrow, I did both tests and I submitted the same sample to both labs. And so I'm going to be reviewing that, walking you through it, and I'm sharing more with you. Okay, so this person, we see very low estrogen. She's still menstruating, but definitely in that perimenopause phase. And so the odometers, so all these circles are the odometers of estrogen, so estradiol, your most active, and your progesterone and testosterone. And so this person's estrogen is below the low limit star. In between, the purple square is the menopausal range. And so she's really now moving down below the star. And so I also have seen people in full menopause, they're taking certain hormone supports and their estrogen is up. And so it's not in that menopausal range. And certainly they feel better. So we have low estrogen here. We actually have really good progesterone. This surprised me in this person's overall health picture. So her progesterone was good. And then testosterone really low. And this test actually guided us further to look at her testosterone pathway. And whereas I thought we would be focusing in on the progesterone side. However, we do bring back the progesterone side for her in that bottom left daily free cortisol pattern. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse right now. So the lower black line and the upper black line, that's the range you want to fall within. And so this person is really skirting that low cortisol line. And then you can see her 24-hour free cortisol range, really low below the star, and her metabolized cortisol also very low. So while her progesterone is good, her cortisol is just really flatlined. And so we're doing a lot of adrenal support and testosterone building. And then her estrogen is also low. So we don't want to do estrogen detox because we don't want her to put a hole in her bucket, right? Where then the estrogen, we're going to build testosterone, but then it's just going to flow through and go out the bucket. We want to really hold her testosterone. And so this is where resistance training really comes in. And she, from what I remember, had not been doing weights and was really focusing on weight loss and was doing a lot of extra exercise, cardio, moving, walking, but not really building muscle and not building testosterone. And then I'll show you one other case. And this one is interesting where I don't know this person. And she she sent me her Dutch reviews. And anybody, reminder, send me your blood work, send me your Dutch and or Chi, and we'll be going through other cases tomorrow. So this person does actually have celiac from what I can see, and she just can't lose belly fat. She has constipation. She's sleepy, sluggish, and has low stomach acid. And why I know that, having not ever met her, is in the Dutch test, there is actually a questionnaire you have to fill out. So that was filled out. And this person does take Synthroid. All her supplements are listed. And then there are a few other notes where she's tried certain things and she's given her response. So I guess we do know her starting symptoms. And then her thyroid level was, so TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, we want that sweet spot between 1 and 2. So she is actually showing 3.05. So there's certainly a sluggish side there that we want to optimize, whether it's through adrenal support or other cofactors. Nutrient cofactors like selenium and zinc are important cofactors for your thyroid, but there's many others. We want to bring her back down into the 1 and 2. And sometimes if someone says, I really think it's my thyroid, but I've tested my thyroid and it's fine on blood work and my doctor says it's fine. First, we'll look at it. And let's say a person is like this, 3.05. It's not terrible, but it is sluggish, right? And so maybe for this person, I'd love to know from her, and she can email me later, was her best thyroid when she was really feeling her best was at 1.2. And so then that is a significant change to be at 3.05. And so we will certainly be optimizing her thyroid levels. And then also, so we have our free T3 and free T4 markers, and they're both within range. How I've said that often, so your T3, T4 will be regulated, but they guide how your thyroid stimulating hormone changes. And that's in your brain. Your brain secretes your thyroid stimulating hormone. Your adrenals have an axis that connects with the brain. And so again, everything is really connected. And so it's interesting here then to know her thyroid levels, to know that she's extremely exhausted and that she has celiac. So there's an inflammatory component. What we see in her hormone levels here are, she's actually quite good in estrogen and progesterone. And I'm trying to see age. I think she's between 30 and 40. And so hormones are quite good. Testosterone may be a little bit low, but where the problem is really lying is this flatlined cortisol. So there's an adrenal concern here. We certainly want to fill this gas tank. We want to super nourish to get everything working as it should and to actually build reserves. We want to rebuild the gas tank so that you can you can drive your car. Basically, you can move your body and feel really good. Okay, I'm going to X back out of those results. And I'm having that same problem now to get back to my screen. So unfortunately, I can't see the chat line. I think, oh, okay, I'm back. Stop share. And my screen is frozen. Okay. So did that. Bear with me. Okay, I'm just gonna have to end here, and I would just ask that, so we are going to continue on into day 2 of case studies tomorrow, and then just share more with you about the blueprint and your next steps. And so please just keep asking your questions, either by email, sharing your homework. We'll also send out what the homework is for your MMMs today. And I'm not sure if you can hear me right now, so just if you can go to the Facebook page after this recording when we post it and put your questions in there as well. Okay, I'm signing off.